Hi, Will. Happy Father's Day, belated.
Thank you. Yeah.
How, how was your Father's Day run? I like the compression socks.
It was great. I did 6 miles and that's not bad, right?
That's really good. And I like the Ferrell shirt with the clover because that you're not going to be recognizable in that.
I'm not that I was trying to go incognito and uh but I'm glad that people saw that shirt. My dad gave that to me for St. Patrick's Day. So
Funny
that's
you should
short.
mention your dad because
Yeah.
I wanted to do a deep dive and talk about Roy Lee because
Okay.
I think, Will, you're truly a singer inside of here. You sing in almost all your movies and, of course, with Eurovision, but I think it's because of your love for your sweet dad.
Well, yeah, that's true. I have a lot of love for him. He is a sweet guy, and yeah, we grew up around music. I love singing. Just makes you feel good, whether you're good at it or not. And so that's what was so much fun to get to play these characters and record all these songs and work with these amazing, producers and songwriters and I think the soundtrack is a character in itself in a movie like this because you listen to the music and we really had to thread the needle between something that was like silly and funny, but then wait, I want to listen to it again. I actually kind of like it.
Right? I'm telling you, it was catchy. For me, I knew nothing about Eurovision. Like,
Right.
how were you introduced to it? Because I was talking to my friends who grew up in England. They're like, please, it was like part of growing up.
Yes, and it has many different reactions from who you talk to in Europe. Uh, People either well, everyone's obsessed, and some people are like, "Oh, it's amazing," and other people are like, "Oh no,
There you
it's
go. You're
terrible."
back.
Uh, but um, but no, I was first exposed to it going with Viv, with my wife, to Sweden for the first time, and her family sat us down. We happened to be visiting in May, which is when they always have the contest, and I think it was after dinner, and they all said, "Okay, we're going to watch Eurovision now." And I was like, "What's that?" And for the next 3 hours, I don't think I lifted my jaw off the ground. I was just like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen."
Did you envision Lars at that moment?
Not quite, not quite. I just assumed someone would make a movie about, I just thought, this is going to be made by someone in Europe, and oh well, and I'm going to have to explain it to an American studio and why it's pertinent, and then I kept realizing no one's making a Eurovision movie, and we finally sat down with the fine folks at Netflix, and they were like, "Let's do it," and so here we are.
Pierce Brosnan as your dad, gold casting right there. How does real dad feel about going up against Pierce? You got
Oh,
James Bond as your dad.
real dad would die to meet Pierce because he's a lovely Irishman who can entertain like the perfect dinner guest, you know, and he's so funny too. He can't not look cool. It's like we were filming that scene where Lars and his father are on the fishing boat, and I've finally given up my dream, and I'm just going to be a fisherman like the rest of, and he talks me back into pursuing my dream. Anyway, that day of filming, it was like 5 or 6 foot swells, and people are like in between takes, like just leaning over the railing and letting it go. And there's Pierce just with aviator sunglasses on,
Hair flowing.
taking selfies and just looking perfect. But he's just one of the coolest guys, and we were so thankful that he did the movie.
Reunited with Rachel McAdams, of course, from The Wedding Crashers. And we were talking because I was like, give me your first introduction to Will. And she brought up The Wedding Crashers. I'm like, I know Wedding Crashers, but she told me a great story that the crew and everybody knew with the meatloaf that it was going to be huge right then.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
She said she knew at that moment, the crew and everybody, that it was a moment, that was going to take off. You didn't know it then?
Not when we were filming it, but I did know when opening weekend of Wedding Crashers, I just was in a public bathroom somewhere, and guys were in the movie wasn't but a day old, and there were guys yelling meatloaf at me in the urinals. I was like, okay, this is going to be. I think this is going to be one that sticks with people. Yeah.
And I wanted to tell you, since last time I saw you, we interviewed Brad Pitt, and we're like, what do you do in your downtime? He
Okay.
says he loves watching Will Ferrell movies.
That's what I heard.
And I said, which one? And he said, Blades of Glory.
God love him.
He's not a Netflix and chill. He's a Will Ferrell and chill. That's what he does.
No, actually, we spent time one evening, and he told me in a very lovely, sincere way that he really likes watching the films I've done, because it's something that he and his kids can both laugh together at. And I was like, wow, thank you. Thanks for saying that. And who's your trainer?
Did you follow up with any like River Runs Through It or Fight Club, or did we go? What do we do?
We were oddly enough on in an art museum in Paris on a private tour.
Oui.
Yes, and we just kept cracking jokes. Like we were just being the obnoxious, ugly Americans. We're like, by the way, do we get to borrow any of these paintings? Do we get to rent them for like an hour? And no one was laughing except for us. And that was my one fun night out with Brad Pitt.
I love all the producing you do. I feel like every time I'm watching a great show, we all know you, of course, in front of the screen, but Will, Succession, what's the one I was thinking of that you just did with
Dead to Me?
Dead to Me, which
Yep.
we just finished the final season. Hustlers.
Yep.
Like
No,
you just pop up, the name pops up. I love this producer hat you wear, the EP hat.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to reach a point in your career where you can dedicate, whatever currency you have to just help, unique voices, help with projects that are fostering diversity. And, I know with Jessica Elbaum and our company, Gloria Sanchez, always working with women, projects driven specifically for and by women. And that's just, it's just so cool to get to kind of work on this other stuff that's really important, that we can kind of continue to push the ball forward.